Dabo Swinney is one of the best head coaches in college football, but is he also the ACC's QB guru? We'll discuss it next on the Locked On Clemson podcast.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Clemson family? Let's get locked in. Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find me and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network and part of the co-host team of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. And guys, thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every single day, Monday through Friday. Whenever I drop these episodes, the love and support you show me, I truly appreciate it, man. And as you also know, you can find us for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Guys, so listen, we have a great show. We're going to get into, again, on the Prowl. Every show I try to bring some recruiting to you. 4-star 2024 edge commit. We're going to get into CBS defensive front rankings and where does Clemson land on that list. And then Dabo Swinney, we know he's a great coach, but is he a QB guru as well? Well, Fox Sports seems to think so for the ACC. So we're going to get into all of that, man. Let's go ahead and tap into it. So when I saw this come across, Fox Sports, they basically looked at the ACC. They analyzed the ACC coaches, and they analyzed them from not just a raw coaching aspect, right? Like, well, okay, who's got the more wins and losses, and who has the more conference titles and national titles and all of that, right? No, they didn't look at it specifically from that realm. They looked at it from an angle of positional development, right? Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, so forth and so on. And when I came across where they had Dabo tabbed as, when they started on offense, Dabo Swinney has been tabbed as the best at developing quarterbacks within the ACC. The blurb from Fox Sports' Brian Fisher says the ACC does not get discussed as often as some of its peer conferences when it comes down to producing a plethora of quality quarterbacks. But the past few seasons have had many more NFL scouting trips take place up and down the coast. Clemson's Dabo Swinney, for example, has had a respectable 3 QBs drafted across his 15 seasons. 15 with the Tigers. That includes number 1 overall selection, Trevor Lawrence, fellow first rounder, and Deshaun Watson, both former 5-stars who lived up to their prep billing. Even more than that, both were consistent threats in Heisman Trophy voting, deliver national titles to the school, and are among the all-time greats in this era of college football who went on to become NFL stars as well. He goes on to say, 6th-rounder Taj Boyd, a former 4-star who played a few years too early to really blossom in a modern NFL offense, also holds a host of school and conference records and was among the first to put Swinney's Clemson's on a path to national prominence. The ultimate ceiling with such a trio is hard to ignore and helps balance out a few misses with the 2 other 5-stars Swinney signed, and DJ Uiagalelei and Hunter Johnson, both whom have transferred. And when you really look at, when you really think about it, right, you ask yourself, all right, this is pretty true. And I love the blurb about Taj Boyd. I'm not going to get too deep into Taj because I'm going to come back because I want to discuss Taj in a whole nother segment, all together, because I was a big fan of Taj coming out. But I'm in agreement with this. When you look at what Dabo has had at quarterback, right? Yeah, you can look at Dave Doran at NC State and Jeff Brom, having Malik Cunningham and Lamar Jackson. I think that wasn't Jeff Brom. That was I forget the name of the coach, but that wasn't Brom, if I remember correctly. But you can look at some of these other coaches and they've had some good quarterbacks, but no one has held a candle to what Clemson has had. 2 top 15 picks in the first round, the number 1 overall selection, Taj Boyd being drafted, right? Like it's it's better than the rest of the teams in the ACC, and that's big, man. Because at the end of the day, what that tells you, we always talk about this with football, that the quarterback position is the most important position. So if the quarterback position is the most important position, we see it, guys, especially in college football, right? You will see a team super talented. You will see a team that dominates the trenches. You will see a team that has a good run game, that actually has good receivers and or tight ends. Dare I say Iowa. And then they don't have a quarterback, right? So then they go out, and that's why they went and go get Cade McNamara from Michigan this offseason, right? Through the transfer portal to try and fix that situation. We'll see how that works out. But again, same thing. Wisconsin will have underrated receivers, dominant offensive line, dominant run game, good tight ends, but lack quarterback play. So it may sound crazy. It may sound like, well, duh, DP. Like, but what I'm saying is, hear what I'm trying to tell you. Yes, like, quarterbacks are important, but it's not easy to find or develop. As much as we talk about on the Prowl with 4 or 5 star recruits, one thing that I will tell you guys right now, give you this little inside trade. Some of these kids aren't actually 4 or 5 star recruits. You know what I mean? There's some politics that goes into it, different things of that nature. And so it's not always black and white like that. Like, it's not always, hey, he's a 5 star, he's a 4 star. That, as you can see with some of these consensus rankings, where ESPN won't have a guy ranked, but 24/7 has him as a 4 star, or Rivals has him as a 4 star. 1.com might have it as a 3 star. So it's a variety, right? So what I'm saying is that what Dabo has done, yeah, DJU didn't work out, right? And that sucks, because that could have been another first round pick if things could have worked out there. And like I talked about it, one of the most recent episodes. If you haven't, go check the archives on the audio side, or if watching on YouTube, you can go and find it there as well, where it was both the team, which Dabo Swinney said that, last year, around this time last year at the ACC kickoff conference, that the team wasn't good around DJU in 2021. You know what I mean? But then you watch the tape, DJU had some faults of his own. 2022, the team still wasn't good around DJU in certain aspects. And, just some things weren't right. And then DJU still was making mistakes he was making. Play calling, I talked about all that stuff. But Dabo Swinney has done a great job developing and getting quarterbacks to play at a high level. I'm itching not to get into that Taj Boyd situation, Taj Boyd discussion, but I'm telling you now, Taj Boyd was a baller. Dabo and Taj, Samuel, the boys was balling, guys. Like, listen, I know peak Clemson is like Trevor and Deshaun in national titles, but to me, peak Clemson, when they took off, was with Taj Boyd. I'm telling you now, go back and check the archives of what Taj and that offense was doing, man, in the ACC, because they were absolutely balling. If I remember correctly, I think they went toe-to-toe with Georgia. I can't remember if they won that game. It was one of the best games I think I've ever watched. Like, back and forth. It was phenomenal. But the point is, Dabo Swinney has done his job. So, yes, he's one of the best coaches in the last 15 years in college football, in college football history, you could say. But he's also proven, the proof is in the pudding, that he knows how to develop the quarterbacks. He knows how to get, you may be a 5 star, you may have all the tools, but I can get you where you need to be. And he's done a good job of that. And again, like Brian Fisher said, Taj Boyd was drafted a couple years too early. Just a couple years too early. But shout out to Dabo, man. Dabo Swinney. He's got another chance. He's got another opportunity to solidify himself as the ACC QB guru in 2023 with the first-time starter in Cade Klubnik. If he goes out there, they win the ACC, Cade Klubnik's balling, so forth and so on, you can go ahead and put that crown of QB guru of the ACC on Dabo Swinney's head. But guys, listen, Dabo Swinney and Fox Sports, doing their rankings was great. But I got another ranking coming up. CBS Sports lists their defensive front ranking. Where do the Tigers land? We're going to discuss all of that coming up next. Guys, trying to find pants and or shorts that fit well, they're versatile, comfortable, and flexible is not easy. I can tell you from personal experience. But let me help you out. Let me introduce you to Birddogs. Birddogs make me look good, so I believe they're going to make you look good as well. Birddogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and their leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. Their shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. Why do they fit better? They use a cloud knit fabric that looks just like khakis, but they stretch better and they give a way slimmer fit without sacrificing movement, which is the opposite from a lot of the shorts that's in your closet that was made out of that stiff, restricting cotton. Birddogs use an anti-sweat instinct fabric that keeps you cool all day long. So, guys, let me help you out and let me point you in the right direction. Go to birddogs.com /LockedOnCollege for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your next order. That's birddogs.com /LockedOnCollege for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You will not want to take off your Birddogs, we promise you. CBS Sports, Dean Straker. Dean went through the landscape of college football on the defensive side of the ball with the front seven rooms entering the 2023 season. And he projected who will be amongst the top, the top front sevens. And I'm going to read off the list to you. Number 1 is Georgia. No surprise there. Everybody, Michael Williams, Warren Brinson, Small Munden Jr., Jamon Dumas Johnson. Those guys are still loaded. Kirby Smart's doing this thing over there. Number 2, Michigan. Junior Colson, Michael Barrett is linebackers, so forth and so on. Like they have done a great job getting Josiah Stewart coming over through the transfer portal. Number 3 is Penn State. Chop Robinson at the edge, position. Abdul Carter at linebacker. Kobe King. Like they have some talent there. And at number 4, your Clemson Tigers. And guys, I loved seeing Clemson because they deserve this defense. We talk a lot about the offense, and when I do, checking the tape, which I'll be doing the checking the tape on Jeremiah Trotter and Barrett Carter next week, but separate episodes. But next week, this defense to me doesn't get enough discussion for how good how much talent they have and how good they can be. When you look at the projected front seven, right, for their 4-man front, so you had at defense, one defensive end, you have graduate, Justin Maskell. Number 7, then you on the opposite side, you have Xavier Thomas, who I've talked about. You have Rook Roro. Then at D tackle, at nose tackle, you have Tyler Davis, who I'm also going to be doing check the tape on for you guys soon as well. But where it gets really fun is behind those guys, on the defensive line, right? You got Cade Denhoff, Peter Woods, the freshman phenom that I'm extremely excited to see. Then you have Peyton Page, big boy, 6'4", 6'5", 315, 320, that true nose tackle. TJ Parker, another freshman at the defensive end spot. But then again, you look at, front seven, you look at the linebackers as well, where you have, of course, Barrett Carter as weak side, Jeremiah Trotter as the middle linebacker, and Wade Woods as the strong side backer. And I truly believe that I'm going to say this. The 4 spot right now, I'm perfectly fine with. By the time this season ends, I could see them leapfrogging Michigan and Penn State. Truthfully. Matter of fact, no. Scratch that. Let's rewind a little bit. I do feel like Michigan could go. I feel like you could bump Michigan up because where was me? Let me look at this list one more time because Clemson's at 4. I don't believe Penn State's in front of Michigan. I love Chop Robinson. But I don't believe Penn State, from a talent standpoint, is not Michigan, but is above Clemson. So I'm cool with putting Michigan's at 2. Now I disagree with this a little bit. You need to flip 3 and 4, and then go back to my point. I believe that Clemson, because of this talent, just from the draft perspective, loaded, right? But then also the young guys loaded with young talent as well on this front seven. So for me, I truly believe by the time we get to season's end, and this thing plays out the way it's supposed to, or the way that, most would expect, Wes Goodwin's getting that second year with this offense, man, Jeremiah Trotter and Dean Straker said this in his piece. The Tigers linebacker room might just have the best duo in the country. It's not even a might. Okay, Dean, it's not a might. It's legit fact. And he talked about the two combined for 169 total tackles last year, and tried to solidify himself as Clemson's top pass rusher. That's little disingenuous. Like that's not. Those are the top pass rush. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't actually rushing. He was blitzing. But nonetheless, semantics. 6.5 sacks, 13 total tackles for loss, and everything like that. But he talked about the fact that Tyler Davis, being I think he's a 3-time All ACC defensive tackle, and then Rook, now becoming that full-time starter, and Maskell getting more action. But of course, if you follow, which I'm pretty sure you guys do, if you're on Twitter, you follow Clemson's Twitter page. If you've seen the way Xavier Thomas looks right now, you would think he's gearing up for a 12-sack season. This young man looks every bit of the part, guys. I promise you, he looks ready to rock and roll right now. So I'm excited for this, man. I'm excited for all of this to see what is going to come down the pipeline and what these young men are going to be able to do. But I absolutely believe I agree with them being top 5. I disagree that Penn State's over them. I think Penn State should be at 4. Clemson should be at 3. And like I said, by the time we get to season's end, I talked about Rook. One of the more recent, I think it was this week when I did check the tape and talked about what Rook brings to the table. Talked about Xavier Thomas. So I got Tyler Davis and Barrett Carter, Jeremiah Trotter coming up. And I'm gonna get into Peyton Page and all those guys because they played roles last year, not full time because you still have Miles Murphy and Brian Brzee still here. So those guys were more spot duty, and if those guys missed a game, they will get into the lineup and things of that nature. But at the same time, man, I'm telling you, this defensive front is loaded with talent and the versatility. Because I'm gonna say this, guys, you can absolutely make a case, and just hear me, on rundowns, right, of taking maybe Justin Maskell off the field, slide Rook to the defensive end, strong side defensive end, push Peyton Page at nose tackle, slide Tyler Davis down at D tackle, right, more so like a 2-eye 3-tech, right, which I think is don't want to get ahead of myself because I'm gonna break down his game for you guys next week. But I feel like that's the better spot for him. And now on rundowns, you have a big nose tackle, a very explosive, quick, physical, defensive tackle, vertical threat in Tyler Davis, Xavier Thomas, stand-up edge, and then you have Rook as the strong side to stuff the run, set the edge, set hard edges, and really corral these running backs and keep them locked in and not giving them any room to work. And then you can kind of get creative and pull Peyton Page off the field, put Tyler Davis back at nose and slide Rook back down, then bring Justin onto the field and have yourself a pass rush package that allows you to get after the quarterback. So I'm just telling you guys, this, like I said, I agree with the top 5. I do. I agree with it. But instead of 4, Clemson should be 3. But talking about 3s and 4s, the 4-star recruit, big time 2024 commit, coming up next on the Prowl. On the Prowl, guys, we continue to attack the 2024 recruiting class. And Clemson just got a commit by Darian Mayo, 6'7", 255-pound defensive end edge rusher from Maryland. This young man came for a visit, visited Clemson on June 5th when he tweeted it out. Yep, June 5th, he tweeted it out. And, just last night, he committed. He tweeted it out that he is, he says, I'm home. And he says it's time to it's time to bring back a national championship to Clemson. So, I'm excited for this because looking at one, guys, what I use. I use one.com. That's a great resource, right? And then looking at they have him as a 4-star recruit, gave him a 91.87 grade. They have him ranked as 167th national recruit in the nation, the 10th edge, and the 3rd rated recruit out of Maryland. So that's big stuff. That is great stuff to see. Now their scouting report, their college scouting report for him, a tall, high cut edge rusher with the ability as a pass rusher and an edge setter in the run game. One of the taller prospects in the 2024 class, measuring at over 6'7" or around 6'7", 200, because actually they have 6'8". He tweeted out that he's 6'7", not 6'8". So he's 6'7", 250, over 250 pounds prior to his senior season. So he's going into the senior season at 250, 255. Has the expected plus length with the wingspan over 6'10". So he's 6'8", already has over a 6'10" wingspan. Lines up as an outside pass rusher for his high school. Has a nice speed rush with the capability to win with speed. The power shows some encouraging dip for such a tall pass rusher. Uses his length to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. Projects as an effective edge setter with his considerable size and room for growth. Shows the ability to control offensive tackles at the point of attack. Faces top competition at Good Cassell. That's the school. Needs to improve his lower body fluidity and ankle flexion. Does not register as a top athlete in the combine setting at this stage. Has the potential to fill out close to 300 pounds once in the college strength and conditioning program. Now, that's a really good report. Like you said, it's to be 6'8", 250 plus pounds, or 6'7", 250 plus pounds. You're not typically going to be a high caliber athlete. Like, you're not going to be able to move the way a 6'4", 240 pound edge rusher is going to move, right? And some guys, and I always say this too, testing athleticism. So there's testing athleticism, then there's functional athleticism. And functional athleticism for me, in terms of what you do in the field, like how pivotal, how important are you? Like, just like the 40-yard dash, right? There's game speed, and then there's testing speed. So you see some guys who blow the 40 out of the water, but they don't even play nowhere near it, right? Then you have some guys who don't test well in the 40, but they're dominant NFL players, and they actually play fast because it's all mental. Like, the mental speed can slow down the speed of the body. So when I look at this young man, I see a 6'7", 255 pound kid that, like you say, he can bulk up potentially to 300. Now, is that something that, like, is that what he wants to be? I don't know. Like, I would say this: to play defensive end, if he being 6'7", if he stays at 6'7", doesn't grow 6'8" or anything crazy like that, what he could honestly do is, he can bulk up, and he can bulk up, and when he bulks up, it goes from 255 to maybe just stop at 270, maybe 280. And if he carries it well, still has the ability to dip and be fluid in terms of turning the corner, getting underneath the shoulder pads of tackles, getting underneath their punches in their hands, things of that nature. If that is the case, that's not bad. Bulking him to 300, though, what could that do for him? Truthfully, that would mean he's going to play more. He strong side defensive end, but his pass rush will be limited typically to being more of a 3-tech, 1-gap, vertical penetrating style, attacking style defensive tackle in terms of an NFL projection. So I can't wait to see what he does as a senior in high school. See if he bulks up a little bit more, or if he maybe drops a little bit of weight, things of that nature, how productive he'll be this season. But then coming into around this time, a year from now, where he'll be on campus, he'll be into the weight program, and just seeing what his body looks like. Because even though the biggest thing with changing guys' bodies is, you think about Devonta Smith at Alabama, the wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. Devonta Smith is basically the same weight he was at, for the most part, same size that he was at Alabama. Alabama has one of the best weightlifting and weight programs. But if a player doesn't feel he needs to change his body in that realm, or in such a drastic way, they're not going to. So we'll see what happens when it pertains to Darian Mayo. But I'm excited, man. This is a big time recruit. Again, as I continue to tell you guys, 5 stars are great, but it's hard to stack, especially now with NIL and everything else involved. It's hard to stack 5 stars and just have them sitting on your roster, right? Alabama's learning that same problem right now. You know what I mean? Georgia's had some guys leave and transfer out because People don't have to do that anymore. Players don't have to sit and wait anymore. So in that situation, yeah, you can nab 3, maybe 4 or 5 stars in the recruiting class. But if you can get anywhere from 8 to 15 4-stars, that's what's going to make your class. That's going to be the strength and the meat and potatoes of your class. And Clemson is continuing to add 4-star recruits. And I'm absolutely excited about it because that means there's going to be more high-end talent coming into this team and coming onto this roster sooner rather than later. You don't have to wait to 2025 or 2026. This kid will be on the roster next year, as long as he doesn't, decommit and back out, which I don't foresee happening. I think Dabo does a good job of securing his recruits. But guys, listen, that's our show, man. Like I said, we talked about Darian Mayo, 4-star 2024 edge that's committed to Clemson last night. CBS defensive front rankings. Having Clemson in the top 5 at 4, not bad, but not having them over Penn State, I took a little exception with. But nonetheless, good list. And then, of course, Fox Sports listing Dabo Swinney as the QB guru of the ACC, and I actually agree with them. So, like I said, had a great time, great show, guys. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every day, every time I drop an episode. Thank y'all for all the support. You're not just my Clemson Tiger family, but you're my everydayers. I appreciate it and I love y'all, man. So stay tuned and tapped in, because we're getting closer and closer to college football, But next week on Monday's show, guys, we're gonna get into Brian Brzee, eye on the league. What are my expectations for him coming into training camp for the New Orleans Saints in a couple weeks? Because football is gearing up on all levels, college and NFL, right? So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into On the Prowl, some more recruiting news as well. So, guys, stay tapped in and stay tuned with your boy. But as always, in terms of Twitter, you can find and follow me at DP_NFL. Talk to me because I talk back. Oh, guys, listen, I appreciate y'all, man. So, as always, come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Go Tigers.